Okay, I'd like to call the Westchester Zoning Commission meeting to order. Mr. Dawson, roll call, please.
Mr. Grove.
Here.
Mr. Hahn.
Here.
Mr. Murphy.
Here.
Mr. Reiner.
Here.
And Mr. Williams.
Here.
Okay, very good. We have some old business. We need the approval of the August 17th, 2020 meeting minutes. I'm assuming everyone's had an opportunity to read those minutes.
Yes.
Are there any changes to those minutes? Anyone?
No.
No? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, the motion on the floor is for the approval of the August 17th, 2020 meeting minutes. Mr. Dawson, roll call, please.
Mr. Grove.
Yes.
Mr. Hahn.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Reiner.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, we need to individually approve each resolution. So resolution ZMA 07-20 EDZ property, Westchester Trade Center Building 9, from the August 17th meeting. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. Motion carries. And the commission needs to approve resolution ZMA 08 Westchester Town Center, the residences at Clock Tower. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Okay, very good. And, moving on to case MC 010-20, Union Center Pavilion, Outlot E. They've requested a continuance to the October 29th, 2020 meeting. May I have a motion to continue? Case. Okay, may I have a motion to continue?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on continuing MC 010-20 Union Center Pavilion, Outlot E. Mr. Dawson, roll call, please.
Mr. Grove.
Yes.
Mr. Hahn.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Reiner.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, I do understand that that would be their final continuance.
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, very good. If they continue again, they go back to square one. Okay, all right, very good. We have one case this evening, ZMA 09-20 West Ridge, that was continued from the August 17th meeting. However, before we start that, we do have some new business. The Zoning Commission case FDP 09-20-A Westchester Town Center, the residences at Clock Tower, has been continued to Monday, September 28th at 6 p.m. This meeting will take place at the Westchester Township Hall, 9113 Cincinnati Dayton Road. This will serve as public notice for this meeting. May I have a motion to continue case FDP 09-20-A Westchester Town Center, the residences at the Clock Tower?
So motion to continue.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Dawson, roll call, please.
Mr. Grove.
Yes.
Mr. Hahn.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Mr. Reiner.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, very good. That is a special meeting that will be held next Monday at 6 p.m., September 28th, just to clarify that. And last item, I would like to swear in staff. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
I do.
Excellent. And at this point, Mr. Dawson, if you could please swear in anyone that plans on providing testimony this evening.
All those who please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Okay, our first case continued from August 17th, 2020 meeting is case ZMA 09-20 West Ridge. Mr. Dawson, staff report, please.
Thank you. As we can see, the applicant is Doyle Hughes Development, LLC. We have a site aerial within the vicinity of the site. Site's highlighted in red. Site's located along the north side of Dimmick Road, east of the railroad, and approximately 480 feet north of Jerry Drive. The site consists of 19.87 acres and is characterized as a ridge which slopes from south to north and is heavily vegetated. We also have a few ground view pictures of the site. This is along Dimmick and the access to the adjacent church property with a view to the west, and another view to the northwest, and a view to the north as well. The current zoning is A1 Agricultural District, which includes the existing church property, and the zoning district surrounding the site is R1A Suburban Residence District. The subject site is consistent with the intent and purpose of the Westchester Township Comprehensive Land Use Plan's recommended estate single-family land use classification by achieving compatibility with the surrounding single-family lots in the R1A Suburban Residence District. The site is located along a major corridor, and the area of the site offers the opportunity for lot sizes that are consistent with the recommended and surrounding density of 1 to 2 dwelling units per acre and the enjoyment of a significant amount of open space for future residents. The proposed preliminary development plan is also consistent with the intent and purpose of the land use plan, its development characteristics by maintaining the recommended density. However, the lots will slightly vary from the R1A development standards by proposing a mix of lot sizes from 12,000 to 16,000 square feet. Additionally, a 10-foot reduction in the front side yard and a 5-foot reduction in the side and rear yards due to the hardships within the topography of the site. Finally, the applicant is proposing unique architectural design characteristics with the availability of the home builder's custom home plans. A traffic impact study has been submitted to the county engineer's office, but is still under review at this time. The engineers indicated approval of the traffic impact study will require further coordination at the final development plan stage to determine the extent of the right-of-way dedications, access management requirements, and any further road improvements along Dimmick Road. The geotechnical report has been submitted, but the engineer's office has not completed the full review of the civil engineering plans at this time. However, they've indicated the following major concerns. Very steep sides of deep ravines in excess of 25%, which are located on poorly suited as building sites with the soils that are present, which may result in landslides. A geotechnical engineer needs to evaluate and determine what effects the development may have on these slopes. The engineer should also provide a recommendation on the terminus of Road A and B. The county felt that roads A and B may need to be shortened based on that geotechnical study. In addition, their concerns are for basement design, rear building setbacks, and for primary and secondary accessory structures, and whether those should be permitted. Additionally, the applicant is proposing to cross the existing creek by means of an aerial storm sewer pipe. The county also feels that an alternative to this aerial storm sewer should be evaluated. The opportunity for a detention basin at the rear lots of 17 and 18 and within a portion of the open space. This basin levee could serve a dual purpose, not only meeting stormwater requirements, but also by serving as part of the community's walking path. Additionally, they believe the adjacent homeowners association for the Stonegate subdivision may have an easement for the detention on this property. Therefore, the applicant will need to submit an amended maintenance agreement at the final development plan stage to determine who is maintaining, and what alterations can be done. Due to these concerns, the density, yard requirements, and restrictions on future additions and/or accessory buildings will need to be conditioned upon approval at the final development plan stage. The applicant has illustrated an emergency access drive, access road, and cross-access easement extending to the church property's drive aisle to the public right-of-way. However, the fire department requires a permanent secondary access road which can support all fire vehicles for developments over 30 dwellings. Therefore, the final development plan will need to reflect the fire department's requirement for the permanent secondary access. Additionally, we do have some renderings of the proposed homes. As shown on the preliminary landscape plan, the applicant is utilizing the natural features and maintaining large tracts of the existing mature tree line, as well as providing adequate street trees along the public frontage and internal roadways. Staff has advised the applicant that the screening of lots 1 through 40 along the east property line would be beneficial to the marketing of those, but will not be required. Finally, sign type and locations were not provided at this preliminary stage. Therefore, all signage should be considered at the final development plan stage. The Township Zoning Commission is to recommend approval with modifications, or denial of the submitted zoning map amendment and preliminary development plan. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Mr. Dawson?
No, not at this time. Not for me.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Dawson, so the detention where it's shown right now at the very top of the page, that's where they would have to have an exposed pipe? And you're saying that it should be relocated potentially? Did I hear that?
Initially, the plan showed an exposed aerial storm pipe over the
Correct.
creek to that detention basin.
Oh,
The applicant will need to coordinate with the engineers to see what's more,
okay.
a better design or feasible.
Oh, got it. Not to move the detention. There was not,
No,
Yeah.
no, they're proposing 4 detention areas throughout the site.
right.
Well, 3 and 1 off-site. So
Gotcha.
one along the north of the church property as well.
Okay.
I can
Okay.
go back to the storm plan.
Okay. All right, very good. That's all I had. Good.
I have a
Good.
question.
Sure.
Mr. Dawson, this was denied by the Planning Commission, correct?
Correct.
Initially?
Yes.
Is it just because they didn't have the geotechnical engineering report, or was there other reasons?
That's correct. So there was a delay in the engineer's office receiving the study. Therefore, they didn't have any further comments. So the Planning Commission recommended denial based on that.
Based on that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Everyone set? All right, very good. Would the applicant please come forward? Please state your name and address for the record.
Michael Hines, Justin Doyle Homes.
Okay, and
If
your
you have any
address, please, for the record?
Hmm?
Your address, I'm sorry, your address, please, for the record?
7700 Awanasa Lane.
Okay. Would you like to add anything to the staff
Now,
report?
if you have any questions regarding your geotech, due to COVID, it was, and weather, getting in on time, I do have a copy of the report here. Once it's submitted to the county, you'll find that everything will be fine, but we were just late getting it in due to conditions. So we understand that.
I have just a clarification question, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair. The rendering were really nice. Can you hear me okay? 'Cause
I
it's-
can't hear, no, I can't.
Okay. The renderings were really nice. Are each of the homes, will they contain a pool like shown?
Some will, some won't. I mean, we show them with that, it's gonna be an option, obviously. And then so as you could see, some of the homes, especially as you go to the main street, as you go straight back, the backyards tail back. And what we've tried to do is keep the green space all around the property. So those homes, obviously that's a flat backyard. Some of those homes on the, what is that, I guess that's at the south side, or as you go back to the plan here, if you could see. Yeah, the home here on the left, as
You
you
have
go
to-
up the boulevard.
I'm sorry, Mr. Hines, you'll have to stay behind the microphone. Sorry about that.
As you go up the boulevard there on the left, these homes, the property goes to, the slopes towards the back. So those will probably be walkout basements. So you probably can't have a pool. So it's going to depend on topography and options.
Looks very nice.
Thank you.
What will the slope be on some of those lots, front to back?
You would know what the slopes will, than the slopes on the back.
Please address the microphone, state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Planning Commission, and staff. I'm Richard Arnold McGill Smith Punchin, 3700 Park 42 Drive, Cincinnati 45241. The slopes of some of the homes that you're referring to, you'll probably slope up from the right-of-way to the garage at about 4%, and then it'll be sort of flat halfway across the home, and then you'll start to tail off at, a 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 slope till you get down to the basement, because you're going to have some walkout basements.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, while I'm up here, I'd like to clarify some of the items that was brought up, if I may.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And then, secondly, if I may approach you, I'd like to drop off a couple copies of an alternative storm sewer plan in light of the concern by the county engineer's office of the aerial sewer. We have come up with an alternative solution. It's a lot more storm sewer, but at least it's not aerial. If I may I pass
Sure.
them out to the commission?
Yeah, sure. Sure,
Okay,
that's
thank
fine.
You go through your things, I'll pass it on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, representatives of the Butler County Engineers Office has expressed a lot of concern in that they're not aware of having one in Butler County. So we looked at an alternative plan by directing the stormwater between lots 17, 18, crossing the creek in a location where you'd have adequate cover, and then traverse back to the same location of the stormwater detention area. So where we're crossing the creek, we anticipate we're gonna have about 3 feet of cover of the storm sewer. We've had dialogue with our stream consultant, and it's his understanding that we will not even have to get a permit for it. It'll be a nationwide permit. In regards to the HOA easement, or for the subdivision to the west.
Yep.
When the agreement, there is an agreement in place. However, when it was written in a manner that would give the current owner of the property, some flexibility if they wanted to alter it or change the shape, grade, or anything like that, as long as it maintained at least the same amount of volume that needed to be for that subdivision, that it's workable. We've had an attorney take a look at it, and those were his findings. And in regards to the geotechnical report, we did make some adjustments to the cul-de-sac after Mr. Carlson, our geotechnical engineer, reviewed it. It just, you know, as Mr. Hines had alluded to, that report didn't make it to the county in a timely manner for them to review it for the planning commission meeting. So if there's any other questions, I'll do my best to provide you an answer.
I have a question for you. Do you anticipate any major changes from that report?
Well, we've made some minor adjustments already.
But besides that,
We're not aware of any major changes, no. I mean, when you look in the report, you'll see that the geotechnical engineer has some cross sections at the key locations where you've got some significant fall off. However, you're still gonna have an individual boring analysis on each home. So but based on the information that we have right now, we don't anticipate any significant changes.
thank you.
Questions?
I have none.
I just have one, the secondary emergency access. So are you gonna relocate that? Are you gonna leave it where it is and like beef up your neighbor's driveway? What's going on there?
Well, I'm gonna have to defer to you on that one.
I mean, it's fire and safety and per them also in terms of crowds, and it's more of a question for, I mean, they'd like it. I think fire and safety would like that too. That's what we've understood.
Well, the secondary access road is gonna need to be constructed as permanent. So the question is whether you can do that without losing lot 40. Also, the church is gonna need to maintain, hopefully they're overparked, because they may lose 4 spaces.
Right.
And then I would route it to the nearest drive aisle, which would be your exit out of there, instead of the furthest drive aisle. So it's just a matter of reviewing that, once it comes in for final development plan, make sure the church has enough parking for its use, and that everything's engineered
They meet
properly.
their zoning, they meet
En-
their.
Yeah, engineered to the public standards, so, you know, it's what you're showing is right of way, so whatever that width's gonna take up of lot 40, and then the additional parking.
Okay.
Yeah, we acknowledge that. Basically, that turning radius that we have right there now, I mean, you'll still be able to maintain that same radius even with the egress, if we use the egress route as the emergency route. But yeah, I also acknowledge there's probably some other things that you have to look at besides even the fire department accessibility route, as far as, you know, what kind of home placement you're gonna have on lot 40.
Okay.
Is that staff's recommendation to have a permanent?
No, it's actual fire code requirement. So for any subdivision over 30 homes, they require permanent secondary access.
Yeah, okay. So they
so
couldn't
that-
do some kind of like paver system or something like that? That
No,
grows grass through it? That's
No, if they're showing
considered-
a public roadway, it needs to be a public roadway.
Okay.
Well, you're saying public roadway.
You're proposing this as a public roadway, correct?
No, well, we're posing it as a permanent emergency access route.
Right.
Drive.
But not necessarily a public road.
Okay.
Not like a public road that we've got within the
With curb and
subdivision.
stuff, yeah,
curb,
it's gonna be a drive.
Okay.
So,
And we would like to be able to talk to the fire chief about putting some type of, possibly a grid block type system, so that it doesn't look like it's there, but at the same time supports the fire truck.
I mean, obviously, the applicant's gonna need to coordinate with them. To my knowledge, and what I was told by the comment, was that it needed to be a permanent roadway. So, either way, I'm fine if they coordinate with the fire department and meet all their code requirements.
And we are too.
Yeah.
yep. Well, the number one item is to meet the code. Let's just make sure that the applicant and the fire department
Yeah.
coordinate and
Yeah.
meet the
And
code.
they'll be back here to
Yeah.
final, so.
Right. So we can make that as, I'm just looking at the resolution to make sure there's not going to be anything. Sorry, what number is this? Do you know what number that is, Tim?
Basically, condition number 5.
Thank you.
Condition number 5. That's a general statement to meet all,
That's perfect.
fire code requirements.
Yeah, that's perfect.
But so.
You
it
good with
doesn't-
that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Very good. Any other questions for the applicant?
What concerns were there with the geotechnical? You said the report wasn't done, the report is done now. Is it the density of the land, the possible sliding? What Mr. Dotson was talking about, the possibility of landslides, is that still a concern? Isn't that the reason to do a geotechnical report?
Well, the reason you do a geotechnical report is kind of twofold. One is you do it for the land development aspect of it. And then secondly, when someone decides where they're going to put their home, that you do a more extent study to make sure that that particular home will be supported properly on that particular lot.
You mentioned test bores. Will there be a test bore for every lot and every house because the land is different?
It won't be for every house, but it'll be where we've identified that land, basically the obvious ones. Or if you'd like, for an example, if we place a fill, it's like 4 feet or more on a lot, we'll do a study on that one.
And you'll compact it how often?
Well, typically they'll compact it in 6 to 8 inch lifts, but at the same time, no matter what they do, it's still got to pass the geotechnical test, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, are there any proponents that would like to get up and speak on behalf of this case? Okay, seeing there are none, are there any opponents that would like to get up and speak against this case? Anyone with neutral information? Okay, we will now close the public portion of our meeting and go into our deliberations. Mr. Williams?
It seems to be a good project. I have friends that actually live back across the street from there. The homes, the renderings look beautiful. Those pools, oh, you can't hear me? I'm sorry. I am so sorry. So I said the homes are beautiful. Those pools are enticing to me. The only concern that I have is the geotechnical piece, but I think it's going to be addressed properly. Stormwater management in that area can be a problem, but they've got I think, a pretty good concept to manage that properly. So I don't see any major problems.
Okay. Mr. Murphy?
I agree with Mr. Williams. I did, however, walk that whole area, and I was blown away on how steep that was. I mean, it's like, it is steep. I was very surprised on how steep it was back there. So I think that's, critical that that report does reflect that and that they do have that, leveled out. And I think if that's the case, but there's some work to be done on that north end, that north slope. But besides that, it's a nice piece of property, and I think it looks good. That's it.
Mr. Ryan?
Yeah, I think it's a nice project too, and I have the same concerns that Mr. Williams has and Mr. Murphy has, but I think they can overcome them, and you're right, that is rather steep. I didn't go down, though. I didn't either. But other than that, I think it's gonna be fine.
I voiced my concern is the geotechnical part, because when we build around the country, we usually locate the building and we'll do 2 or 3 corners to make sure what goes on the soils. And so I am a bit concerned with that kind of steepness, and I'm concerned that, again, that the houses that we put in there are not going to shift or move, and a lot of homeowners don't understand the technical part of having the soil right. So I don't know if we have the right to say each one needs to have a test bore or a test bore every so often to make sure that we're protected the type of house that goes in there, and that everybody's protected. So again, that's my concern.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. I think it's a good project overall. I understand the geotech engineer, I actually know him. I've worked with him before, and I've said some very nice things about him. I'm not going to go into that right here and give him a free plug, but he's a good engineer, and I think he'll, you know, the recommendations, I haven't seen the report, but I would trust that the recommendations are what's going to be right for that community, for those houses. And the beauty of it is, at the end of the day, we get another engineer's eyes and our Butler County engineer to review it. And if they don't approve it, then they'll have to make a modification and start reducing density.
Understood.
And that's ultimately, I kind of step aside and let the professionals do their thing and come back, and hopefully, you know, we'll be able to rest easy knowing that they've done their job and they've done it right. So with that, I think it's, that was the first I saw the renderings. I thought they were great. I think it's going to be a great ad for the community. So that's what I have to say. Would anyone be willing to make a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve case number ZMA 09-20, the preliminary development, with the preliminary development plan and conditions as stated by staff.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, the question is on the adoption of the motion that case ZMA 09-20 West Ridge be approved by the zoning commission based on the staff comments and other agencies' recommendations. Do we have any further discussion?
No,
None?
No? Okay, Mr. Dawson, would you call roll, please?
Mr. Groh.
Yes.
Mr. Hahn.
Yes.
Mr. Murphy.
yes,
Mr. Reiner.
Yes,
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Congratulations, motion carries. Welcome to Westchester. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we have no administrative matters, communications, and miscellaneous business. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be Monday, October 19th, 2020 at 6 p.m. But do remember, as stated earlier, I will state it again, we do have a meeting on Monday, September 28th at 6 p.m. for FDP 09-20-A, Westchester Town Center case. Okay? This will serve as public notice for both of those meetings. Could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, there's a second?
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The question is on the adjournment of the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say no. We are adjourned.